Overcome with emotion, Andrea's family wait in angst.
Investigators were told to have discovered remains of a female near the black pickup truck belonging to the boyfriend. That's where police have focused their search all afternoon here near Homestead Air Reserve Base.
In the quiet hours of December 7th, 2021, just after midnight, a horrifying plan of revenge was set into motion. The 27-year-old pregnant mother of two was at her caretaker job when she answered a knock at the door. A man dragged her out of the house, and from that moment, no one heard from her until she and her unborn baby were found dead in a heavily wooded area. Nobody in this community knew what happened and how for so long until one clue revealed the truth. This is the heartbreaking story of Andrea Levette Lloyd and her unborn baby. Andrea Levette Lloyd was affectionately known by the people closest to her as Dree. She was born on December 13, 1993 in Miami, Florida. From an early age, she radiated kindness and compassion towards other people. With this quality, she was well loved by her friends, family, and co-workers. And it is also this same quality that led her to build a career as a caregiver. But before she realized her true calling in life, she fulfilled her career-driven nature with her work in retail for a short time. Eventually, life led her to what she is best in, which is caring for people. And because of Andrea's passion for what she does for a living, her dedication and work ethic earned her to become the residential program director at Sunrise Community. And years after, she moved to work at South Miami-Dade Group Home, where she dedicated her life looking after people with mental illnesses, developmental disabilities, or other special needs. But there is one person that would play a huge role in Andrea's life. One person who changed her life forever. It is this guy, a 32-year-old Xavier Johnson. Now, before the tragic incident, Xavier and Andrea had been in a relationship for almost 11 years. They met when they were just teenagers, and ever since then, they have been inseparable, and the people around them could attest to their lasting love. They were never officially married, but it didn't deter their relationship from flourishing. The couple would proceed with their relationship and do things that other married couples do. Andrea and Xavier often shared countless cherished moments, family vacations, holiday celebrations, and romantic getaways. They would even shower each other with gifts and surprises.
Oh!
This one's for couples, 14 questions. Who apologizes the first after a fight? Who's the funny one? Who's more romantic? Who's more patient? Who's the better cook? Who said I love you first? Who takes longer to get ready in the morning? Who's the grumpier one in the morning? Who's more stubborn? Who's the bigger baby when sick? Who's the social butterfly? Who's the messy one? Who works out more? Who requires more attention?
And all of these, Andrea would happily document and share on social media, making their love appear unbreakable. So, in a couple of years, Xavier and Andrea welcomed their first baby, and then second, you can see the babies in this picture, ages 1 and 5. So together they were raising these boys, and just as Andrea excelled in caregiving, she was an equally devoted mother. She ensured that her children were always cared for and loved. In fact, every decision she made revolved around her children's happiness and welfare. So with everything seemingly fine, they planned to have their third baby. And by the time of this tragedy, Andrea was 6 weeks pregnant. But behind the picture-perfect depiction of their relationship, there was a different story happening, hidden from everyone else's eyes and behind the cameras. It is one that Andrea kept hidden from most. For the most part of the decade they had been together, everything went well for their relationship. Xavier was charming and affectionate, and he knew exactly how to make Andrea feel special. But as the years passed, the real colors of Xavier would begin to show. It all started with the small arguments that they had, the disagreements over trivial matters that ended in apologies and sweet reconciliations. But over time, things would change. The arguments grew more intense than the last, with apologies becoming less and less sincere. At this time, Xavier also was becoming more and more controlling towards Andrea. Even the family of Andrea started to notice the cracks in their relationship that slowly got bigger. And it isn't clear up until now, but Xavier seems to start going after other women. As Andrea's father would put it, he was messing around with her.
She was tired of him messing around on her, and she was like a wife, not a girlfriend.
So for Andrea, who was putting in everything for their family, being an unmarried wife in a toxic relationship was becoming overwhelming. The more she held on to the relationship, the more suffocating it got. And with that, the wedge between her and Xavier was becoming wider. And so, she made a decision that would change everything. Weeks leading up to the fateful night of the tragedy that would fall on Andrea, she confided in her father that she wanted to leave Xavier. It is at this point that Andrea decides to leave him. In fact, this decision could be seen on her social media post, reflecting on the trauma she experienced in her relationship with Xavier. On December 6, 2021, she shared, "Narcissistic manipulators. These are people who intentionally or unintentionally attack and hurt you. Then, once they hurt you and you react, they become upset at how you responded to the pain they caused. They try to turn the situation around, adding more hurtful things to make it seem like you are the problem or at fault for what they did. In reality, you did absolutely nothing to them to justify their action." And so it was clear, Xavier and Andrea were over. But little did she know, that decision would mark the start of the harrowing tragedy that she will face. And what will happen next would leave her family and the community devastated. In the early hours of December 7, 2021, just after midnight, Andrea was still at her work at the residential care South Miami-Dade group home, tending to her patients with the same warmth and care that made her loved by many. It was just like any other day for her. But unbeknownst to her, she was already living the final moments of her life. It wasn't long until after midnight when a knock would come on Andrea's workplace's door. This was when the unthinkable would happen. As soon as Andrea opened the door, a mysterious person would lunge at her, beating her up brutally before dragging her towards the waiting SUV. And the silence of the night continued. But this was just the beginning of a chilling series of events that would later unfold. Several hours after her abduction, Andrea's coworker pulled up at the home to supposedly relieve her with the shift, but what she found were the patients alone and Andrea missing. This was when she reported the disappearance of Andrea. When the police arrived at the home to question Andrea's coworker, they would find a piece of evidence that would shoot the trajectory of the big investigation and search.
On to a developing story out of Southwest Miami-Dade, where police say a woman is still missing after being abducted from her job this morning. 27-year-old Andrea Lloyd works as a caretaker at a home.
That's where she was when we're told she opened the door to a man who beat her and dragged her into his car against her will. Here's CBS 4's Joel Waldman with more details.
In news, unfortunately, we covered too many of these stories, but I can't remember a time in recent memory when so many family members showed up in such a short amount of time, desperate for Andrea to come back home safely.
It's hard. It's hard because, she's the type of person, she always calls her dad because we got so much love in the family.
As the investigators dug to find whatever they could find to get any leads about the whereabouts of Andrea, they obtained the surveillance footage of the night that she was abducted. And that's when they discovered something shocking. At around 12:30 a.m., a white Honda Civic with a Florida plate number of Y650DL pulled up at the home, and this exact vehicle contained the kidnapper of Andrea. But one question remained for the police. Who could be the mysterious man who brutally beat up Andrea, and why could he have taken her? This was when the search for the missing mother would be launched.
Police confirming something did in fact go drastically wrong overnight. They say surveillance video revealed a disturbing scene after a man showed up at Andrea's job just after midnight.
We are continuing to use all of our resources to be able to find Andrea.
Into the evening, 7 Skyforce above as daylight turns to night, and the dire search for 27-year-old Andrea Lloyd continues.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Andrea's family waited for her to come home that night, and when she didn't, they knew something was definitely wrong. But it did not take long before they would receive the heart-stopping news of Andrea's disappearance. And so they went to her workplace, desperate for answers and full of hope that she would come home safe, and most importantly, she would come home alive. During this time, Andrea's family already had an inkling and suspicions about who could have done this brutal crime.
For her not to have contacted any of us, something is wrong. Andrea is not the type person that will leave with a stranger. And the information and the evidence that the detectives shared with us indicates that she was very familiar with the person that abducted her.
The police told them to keep it to themselves, but it wasn't long until the truth surfaced, and it was nothing but heartbreaking. On December 8, 2021, just one day after the abduction of Andrea, a strange sight caught the attention of one of Andrea's relatives. Someone suspicious was hovering in the wooded area of 127th Avenue and 330th Street near Homestead Miami Speedway, someone related to Andrea. This was approximately 20 miles away from the group home. At first, this seemed unrelated to the case of Andrea, but it wasn't until police arrived at the area that the case would turn to a sharp focus. And so, Andrea's made the call for the police to check the area after spotting a familiar black pickup truck, and the person they spotted shocked the police. The man loitering the area was none other than Andrea's ex-boyfriend, Xavier. This ultimately raised suspicions about his actions and his involvement in Andrea's disappearance. Xavier was immediately taken into custody by the police to be interrogated about what he was doing around the area. But what the authorities discovered next would change everything. As the police investigated the area, the cadaver dogs that they brought immediately reacted to something. Stiffening and barking, they alerted the police of something that was near the parked truck owned by Xavier. As the dogs lead them to something among the trees, the police find a large metal toolbox that contains harrowing discoveries. When they pried it open, a lifeless body of a female individual was lodged inside it. But at that point, it still wasn't clear if it was the lifeless body of Andrea, because no signs of her were found by the police at the pickup truck and the metal box where the dead body was placed.
Miami-Dade police have found human remains. They have not been identified, but a source did tell us that they belong to a female.
As more discoveries came to light, Andrea's family still hoped that she would be brought home unharmed. However, the worst was yet to come for them. The medical examiner confirmed that the lifeless body that was found belonged to Andrea. This discovery led to the immediate arrest of Xavier. He was then taken to the Turner Guilford Knight Correctional Center, where he was held without bond.
Police arrest a man in connection with the abduction and murder of a pregnant South Florida mother. Xavier Johnson reportedly confessed to kidnapping and killing his girlfriend, Andrea Lloyd. Police detained Johnson after he was spotted yesterday near Homestead Bayfront Park. CBS 4's Peter Dent, she's live in Florida City. And Peter, human remains were found, but have they been able to identify those positively yet?
Well, Keith, first off, that's waiting on results from the medical examiner's office before they officially identify the remains of those that were found.
Then the chilling confession surfaced. During the interrogation, an unsettling truth came forward from Xavier. Cold and detached, he admitted to kidnapping and murdering his pregnant ex-girlfriend. Even with the confession, the investigators still were haunted by the mystery of why he could have done it. But it wouldn't take long until everything would come into perspective for the authorities. As they dug deeper, a chilling motive began to surface, one that Andrea's family had already suspected. After receiving the devastating confirmation of the death of their beloved Andrea, her family had their suspicions of the reason why Xavier did the gruesome crime. The father of Andrea, Arnold Lloyd, revealed in an interview with the news outlets that she was planning on leaving him.
He was with this guy, her boyfriend, for what, 11 years?
11 years, yeah.
11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
And did you ever think anything like this?
If I knew anything wrong, she wouldn't have been there, because I could have put her in the house myself.
Any idea why this might have happened?
Because she was going to leave him.
She was going to leave him?
Because she was tired of him messing around on her, and she was like a wife, not a girlfriend.
This was already laid out from the very beginning, but the most shocking revelation is yet to be revealed. Arnold added that the baby that Andrew was carrying was not that of Xavier's.
Lloyd's father says the third child, the one that she is pregnant with, was not Johnson's, and that she was planning on breaking up with him, so that is his best guess as to why this happened,
revealing a more vivid understanding of Arnold's motives in committing the brutal crime. And so, with the confession and the motive at hand, Xavier's fate was sealed. On December 9, 2021, Xavier was officially charged with 1 count of first-degree murder, 1 count of kidnapping, and 1 count of armed burglary with assault and battery. But the case wasn't as open and shut as it seemed. When Johnson stood before the judge at his bond hearing, there was no sympathy, no hesitation, exposing the disturbing mind Xavier had. The judge overseeing the case was left unsettled by the proceedings, and she quoted, "He made a statement that he confessed to kidnapping and killing the victim. This is a serious case. This is a death penalty case."
Well, the judge in this case noted that Andrea Lloyd's boyfriend confessed, and she said this is a death penalty case. Now, her father told me he is heartbroken. He said that she and her boyfriend had been together for the past 11 years and they had 2 sons together, but he also said that she planned to leave him, and that may have led to what happened here.
Sir, you were arrested for 1 count of first-degree murder, 1 count of kidnapping.
Circuit Judge Mindy Glazer finds probable cause for the charges against 32-year-old Xavier Johnson in the murder of his girlfriend, 27-year-old Andrea Lloyd.
He made a statement confessing to kidnapping and killing the victim. And this is a serious case. This may be a death penalty case.
Up until now, his case is not finalized, and the final decision is still not passed on. But as the case against Xavier unfolded, more details emerged about Andrea's tragic death and the legal battle that followed. One particularly significant revelation came nearly a year later, shedding light on a financial aspect of the case that had not been previously disclosed. On September 2, 2022, court documents emerged involving Xavier and an insurance company called Primerica Life Insurance Company. In the document, a crucial detail that was previously undisclosed by law enforcement was revealed, which was allegedly the horrifying cause of Andrea's death. As it turns out, Andrea Lloyd had died from multiple stab wounds. Additionally, the document determined whether Xavier Johnson, the primary beneficiary and accused in her murder, could claim her life insurance. However, under Florida law, those who unlawfully kill the insured are barred from receiving benefits, which awarded Arnold Lloyd the $157,413.20 policy proceeds of Andrea's life insurance. This legal decision not only reaffirmed Xavier's guilt in the eyes of the law, but also a small measure of justice for Andrea's grieving family. But this financial compensation could never replace her, and the battle for full accountability was far from over. On December 10, 2021, Arnold Lloyd appeared in front of the judge to take custody of the 2 children of Andrea, who were left without a mother. As much as relief came to them when Xavier was arrested, nothing could amount to having Andrea still being with them. Just days after her murder, on December 13, 2021, the day that would have been her 28th birthday, her friends and family gathered to mourn her at the Southwest 328th Street, a place very near where the body of Andrea was found. In her memory, they released pink balloons, symbolizing their love for a loving mother whose life was stolen in an act of selfishness and rage.
The family of Andrea Lloyd celebrating her life. Today would have been her 28th birthday. Police say she was killed by her boyfriend, Xavier Johnson. He's facing a slew of charges, including first-degree murder.
Today is her 28th birthday, but tragically, Andrea Lloyd's family is instead preparing for her funeral, which will be held this Saturday. Details on that to follow. Meanwhile, we're at the site here in Homestead where her body was discovered, a swampy and desolate area. Now, less than 1 week after her brutal murder, Andrea Lloyd's family and friends are back where her body was discovered. Today, a heavenly birthday celebration. The mother of 2, who was pregnant with her 3rd child, would have turned, as I said, 28 years old today. Instead, her family is now planning her funeral. Family, including her uncle and godbrother, tell us she would still want everyone close to her celebrating her birthday with joy in their hearts.
And Andrea wants us to smile right now. She don't even want to see no tears, because all she would come around is smiling. She would make us laugh, and that's what she wants to see with us, make us laugh right now. She wants to see us laughing. She don't want to see us heartbroken.
The 28th birthday, she's not here, and Christmas is coming. She still won't be here. New Year's is behind that, and she still won't be here. So how could I come out of that? It won't.
What would you do if you were in the position of Andrea? Let us know what you think about this case in the comments section below.